My dad woke up from a coma after several months. Chapter 1. The Awakening. The room buzzed with excited whispers and jittery anticipation. After months of waiting, John was waking up. Mark stood by his father's bedside, his hand gripping John's tightly. "Dad, you're back," Mark said, his voice trembling with emotion. John's eyes fluttered open, slowly adjusting to the light. His gaze swept the room, stopping at his wife, Sarah, who smiled with tears glistening in her eyes. Behind her stood Mark's wife, Lysa, her expression laced with concern. Yet when John's eyes landed on Lysa, something shifted. There was a strange intensity in his weak gaze that sent a shiver down Mark's spine. Something wasn't right. John's voice was a raspy whisper, but his words hit like thunder. "I heard you." Confusion clouded the room. Sarah leaned closer. "Heard what, John?" John's gaze didn't waver. All of it. Every word, every whispered conversation, every lie. Mark's heart raced. Lies? Who was his father talking about? John's eyes bore into Lysa as he added, "She visited alone." Lysa stepped forward, her face a mask of concern. "John, you were in a coma. You must have been dreaming." But John wasn't swayed. "You leaned close, whispered secrets you thought I couldn't hear. Secrets about you, Lysa, about what you're hiding." Mark's chest tightened. His father's conviction was undeniable. "Lysa, what is he talking about?" he asked, his voice trembling. Lysa's composure cracked. She looked around the room, searching for an escape. "It's nothing, Mark. Your father is confused." But Mark couldn't ignore the unease creeping over him. His father's words echoed in his mind. Secrets, lies. He reached for Lysa's hand, but she flinched, pulling away. In that instant, Mark knew his father was telling the truth. Lysa was hiding something. Chapter 2. The Seed of Doubt. The days following John's awakening were fraught with tension. John's physical recovery was slow, but his mind seemed sharper than ever. Mark's mind, however, was clouded with doubts. Every glance at Lysa now carried a weight he couldn't shake. One evening, Mark confronted her in their bedroom. "Lysa, I need to know what my dad was talking about. What secrets?" Lysa's face hardened. "Mark, your father has been through trauma. He's projecting. Are you really going to let his confusion ruin what we have?" Her deflection only deepened Mark's suspicion. "This isn't just about him. You've been distant. I've noticed things. The late nights, the phone calls you step out to take. Tell me the truth." Lisa's eyes filled with tears, but she stayed silent. Mark's heart ached, but he couldn't let it go. He decided to dig deeper. And Chapter 3. Unraveling the Truth. Mark began piecing together clues. He checked phone records, noticed patterns in Lysa's behavior, and even spoke to mutual friends. Every thread he pulled led to a tangled web he didn't want to believe existed. Then he found it. A series of messages on her laptop, emails exchanged with an unfamiliar name. The emails were vague but hinted at something more than friendship. "Can't wait to see you again, and we need to be careful," were enough to send Mark's heart plummeting. He confronted Lysa that night. "Who is David?" he demanded. Lysa froze. Her face turned pale as she realized the secret she'd been keeping was exposed. "Mark, I can explain," she began, but her voice was shaky. "Explain what? That you've been lying to me? That my dad's coma wasn't a hallucination but a revelation?" Lysa's tears spilled over. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It was a mistake, Mark. It didn't mean anything." Mark's world crumbled. The woman he loved had betrayed him, and his father had known all along. Chapter 4. The Confrontation. Mark confronted his father the next day. "Dad, you said you heard everything. What did Lysa tell you?" John hesitated, his frail body sinking deeper into the hospital bed. "She didn't think I could hear her," he said softly. "She apologized for hurting you, for the affair. She said she didn't know what to do anymore." Mark's fists clenched. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I wanted you to hear it from her," John replied. "I hoped she'd come clean, but seeing her reaction when I woke up, I knew she wouldn't." Mark felt a mix of anger and sorrow. His father had tried to protect him, but the truth still cut deep. He decided it was time to confront Lysa one last time. When Mark returned home, Lysa was packing a bag. "I think it's best if I leave for a while," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Mark didn't stop her. "You've already left, Lysa. The moment you chose to lie, you left us." Chapter 5. healing, and moving forward. The weeks that followed were difficult. Mark focused on helping his father recover, finding solace in their renewed bond. Sarah's unwavering support became a cornerstone for their healing. Together, they rebuilt what had been broken by lies and betrayal. Mark filed for divorce, deciding to prioritize his own well-being and that of his family. Though the pain lingered, he found strength in his father's resilience and wisdom. John's recovery became symbolic of their shared journey, one of overcoming adversity and finding hope in the aftermath of devastation. As John's health improved, so did Mark's outlook on life. He began to dream again, focusing on building a future for himself and honoring the lessons his father had taught him. One evening, as Mark and John sat on the porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon, John broke the silence. "You're stronger than you think, son." Mark smiled, the weight on his shoulders feeling lighter than it had in months. "I learned that from you, Dad." Together they faced the future with renewed hope, knowing that even in the face of betrayal and hardship, there was always a path forward. The story explores themes of betrayal, resilience, and healing as Mark's father, John, awakens from a months-long coma with knowledge of secrets that shatter Mark's trust in his wife, Lysa. Through the revelation of Lysa's infidelity, Mark confronts betrayal, mends his relationship with his father, and ultimately finds strength to move forward, prioritizing honesty and familial bonds.